Hi, everyone. It's Kyle Alexander Morgan, host of the Original Sin podcast. We're brought to you today by True Crime Story 911. Today, we're speaking to Crystal Shearer, mother of Corey Shearer, who was murdered at a house party in Rancho Cordova on August 5th, 2022. Hello, Crystal Shearer. Thank you for joining us. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
No problem. Can you bring us back to August 5th, 2022? Do you know exactly what happened that day before the house party and at the house party?
All I know is what I've been told. There were a couple of kids that from our town that went to the party as well. It was just everything was just a normal day. I work weird hours, so I was asleep by like 7 o'clock that night.
Okay.
I didn't even know that Corey had left. And we got a phone call at 11 o'clock that night from a friend that knows my daughter and my son. She was there at the party that night, and she was screaming and crying and telling us that Corey had been shot. I initially honestly thought that it was some type of accident, like someone had accidentally, a gun went off, something like that. I was screaming and trying to figure out what was going on. I had just woken up, so I was trying to get a hold of my husband, who was at work. We all just got in the car, and we live about an hour from that area. And my mom and sister had met us, and we all just rode down together, driving to different hospitals. No one knew where he was taken or anything like that. And then we went to actually where the house party was, and I saw, the detectives in suits, and I knew that was not a good sign. But they still wouldn't tell us anything. They didn't let us know until like 4:30 that morning or the following day.
Okay. That your son had passed away?
Yes.
4:30.
They wouldn't let me see him. It was horrible.
I'm sorry about that. Can you tell me about your son, Corey? What was he like?
Corey.
What do you remember about him?
He was always very loving and very affectionate. He was hilarious. He had a very sarcastic sense of humor. He's so funny. He enjoyed being outdoors. He loved fishing and, four-wheeling, that type of stuff. He made friends everywhere he went. Everyone loved him. To know him was truly to love him. He was very, very loved. Very loved.
Okay. I asked you to send me some information on his murder and what was going on, and you did that. And so there was an account by his new girlfriend, Lexi, that earlier that day on August 5th, 2022, they were playing Monopoly, and then they went out for a walk. They saw the sunset, and he was talking to her. Corey was talking to Lexi about the sunset, and she took a picture of it, and then they got on Snapchat and heard about a house party that was going to be at 3001 Ramsey Gate Ray. According to the news accounts, it says 5 friends drove in one car and others drove separately. And Corey went alone in the house. Moments later, Corey walked out and a man was in front of him. When Lexi saw him, she said that the man turned around and he shot Corey multiple times. She ran and did CPR. Do you know now why Corey was shot? Did he have any enemies?
I've heard a couple of different. No, he didn't. He did not know the potential shooter. Never met him. Knew nothing about him. I truly believe that Amyis Coogler had every intention of taking a life that night. That's why he brought a loaded weapon with him there, and it just happened to be my son that night. I had heard that they were all smoking a joint, and Corey had dropped it and then, went to pass it back. And after that, he was just kind of following Corey around, trying to get him to fight him outside. I don't know if that's accurate. I mean, I've heard a lot of different accounts. I've heard that as soon as Corey got there, he just started following him around. So I'm not 100% sure, but he shot Corey 4 times in his chest. So
wow, okay.
He wasn't trying to, just get away or he didn't even know Corey. He'd never met him a day in his life.
So he was planning on, you think he was just planning on taking a life that night and it just happened to be your son?
I do think that. I think it was some type of gang initiation or something like that. I don't know. I can't think of anything that would justify what happened. There's nothing. Corey didn't even know him.
Right. Okay, so for a long time, you guys were looking for Coogler. There was a person of interest photo because he had hopped over a fence and a neighbor's video caught him on camera wearing all black in a hoodie. And that was announced in January 2003, right?
Yes.
Okay. And it's just recently that they arrested him for your son's murder. He had been in jail already on another charge, unrelated crime, for an attack and a robbery outside a cafe on Stockton Boulevard in Sacramento. And so from that, they took his DNA and the DNA match. Is that correct?
That's what I was told. Because we had that picture for a long time. No one came forward. No one admitted that they knew him. And then he committed, I think it was like he had 5 more felonies that he was arrested for. And once they got his DNA from that, they were able to link it to what happened with Corey.
Okay. Why do you think that no one came forward? Was it because there was underage children at the party?
Yeah, I think kids were scared. And I think some people are just trash. I mean, I think some people, if you saw someone's mother begging and crying and pleading for you to come forward, if you know who this person is, and you don't, because you could be anonymous, you could be, just where you don't have to give them your name or anything like that. But I think the majority of it, people were just scared.
Right. That maybe this person that they didn't know would come after them if they spoke.
Right. Like no one wants to be a snitch or anything like that, but it's sad, really.
It is, yes. Can you tell me right now, at the time that Coogler committed the murder of your son, he was 17, so he was a minor, and it's in juvenile court now. Can you tell me what's gone on, how many case hearings you have had, and what's the status is?
I will say juvenile court is a complete joke. It is that if we remain in the juvenile system, there will be no justice. The longest that Coogler would spend behind bars would be until he's 25. He's 20 now. So 5 years for murder is insane to me. I have been trying to get it moved into adult court. He was only 1 month shy of being 18.
Right.
I know he knew what he was doing. 17 is not a little baby. It's not 12. It's, I was pregnant with Corey when I was 17 and, right from wrong. You know what happens when you pull out a gun.
Right.
But we have had a couple of hearings and they usually just do a continuation. We've talked with probation. They've recommended moving it to adult court. It's just a lot of the laws in California are set up to help monsters, honestly. It's set up to try to rehabilitate these people that go out and take lives with no thought of the destruction and the pain and the anguish. My life will never be the same ever. His siblings, my husband, grandparents, aunts, it's completely flipped our world upside down. Corey was so very loved. And to be faced with the person responsible only getting 5 years at maximum if we stay in juvenile court is very, very discouraging and frustrating.
Now, I know I had talked to you several months ago about your son's murder. This was before Coogler was arrested, or he was already in jail, apparently. But they had not connected the dots. The police had not connected the dots yet, or got the DNA back to prove that he was the one that had shot your son. And so at that time, they were still looking for him. They thought he was out in the street. Has he said anything since he's been arrested? Does he have an attorney? Have they made any sort of statement? Has he admitted shooting your son? Has he?
No, he's shown absolutely no remorse. He has not admitted it. As far as I know from speaking, initially finding out he was arrested and then talking with him, he had no idea. He didn't know. It wasn't him. He's shown no remorse, taken no accountability. He had like a public defender initially. He's now got private representation. And we've had 2 hearings since he's had the new private lawyer, but we're still they told me it's a very, very long process, especially in juvenile court. I know I've actually met another family through going to court and everything else. They've been going to court for 2 years at this point, and they still are in juvenile court trying to get it moved up to adult. It's a very similar situation to my son Corey. her son was at a party, shot by someone he didn't know, and he was 2 weeks shy of being 18. So it's the court process is very backwards right now. It's not set up for victims or for their families at all. I want to try to find out what I can do to try to make changes. It's unfair. It's wrong.
Okay. You are absolutely sure that, well, the DNA links him to you, but right. You are absolutely sure that seeing him now, he's the person that's in that video that they showed back in January 2023.
Oh, yeah. You're
absolutely sure.
Definitely the person in the video. Absolutely.
Okay. Now, while this was going on, before they linked him to the murder of your son, was the police helpful? Did they talk to you? Did you get any cooperation from them to find out what was going on with your son's case?
Initially, I couldn't even, when everything very first happened, I couldn't even focus. I was in such a bad place, mentally, and I couldn't initially talk with them. But once after like a couple of weeks where I was able to even like wrap my mind around what was happening, which I'm still wrapping my mind around it, it still feels not real, but initially I had really good communication with them, and then we did the press conference, and I was really hopeful. Once they released the picture, I was like, it's just going to be a matter of a couple of days, probably. Someone's going to come forward. Such a very clear picture. It's obvious. If someone sees that, they're going to know who this person is. It's very clear. And we still had good communication. And then I had a little while where I felt like I wasn't being heard or, responded to, and they would just tell me that there's things they can't tell me. And I understand that aspect, but I just felt very discouraged. Like it didn't matter is how it felt to me. And I know that they were doing things behind the scenes that they couldn't tell me. Right. But it did feel that way a little bit.
Okay. Now, are they cooperating with you as far as the district attorney's office? Are they actually trying to get in adult court, use him into an adult court? You said that you had talked to the probation, and have you talked to the district attorney's office? Are they being helpful with that? Yeah,
I have a victim's advocate who is amazing, and the district attorney has told us about the process and everything. And I feel like, from my understanding, it's ultimately up to the judge and whether or not they have a new law that was passed to ensure that, defendant or, suspect meet 5 criteria, whether or not they're able to be rehabilitated. And as far as juvenile court matters, it's not whether or not this person is guilty or what effect it's had on the victim, the family, or anything like that. It's really only focused on whether or not a murderer is suitable for rehabilitation. And I know that hands are tied with the district attorney. She, wants to have him move to adult court. I don't know who ultimately makes that decision. I assume it's the judge.
Okay. All right. But you would like him to be moved to adult court and be charged with the murder of your son?
I don't think he should ever be out in the public ever again. That's what I think.
Okay. Crystal, is there anything else about your son's case that we didn't go over? I know that, he was murdered in 2022 and we're in 2024 now. You told me a little bit about your son and about the case. Is there anything that we missed that the public needs to know about this case, about your son?
Well, what I would like to get out to everyone, no one ever thinks this is going to happen to them. I never in a million years thought that something like this could happen. And I would see stories about someone being killed and then the killer gets 5 years. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that doesn't seem right. It's not right. There needs to be punishment. There needs to be accountability. There needs to be repercussions. And no one thinks it's going to happen to them. But if it did happen to you, what would you want done to the person that ripped your baby away from this world? It's right. Just, it's the hardest thing that anyone could ever have to go through, losing a child, especially at the hands of someone else. And Corey was not, he was loving, he was happy and fun, and he didn't look for problems with people at all. And he loved his sisters, were his best friends, and he was close with me and my husband, all of his aunts, uncles, grandparents. It hasn't just affected just a few people. It's a lot of people are affected. And I just hope that we're able to move to adult court and we get some type of justice for my son. No one deserves this. And The only thing that has brought me comfort is knowing that the person that killed Corey is not out able to hurt somebody else. He's obviously a violent person. He went out and was robbing people. He had guns. He took a life for no reason. That's not somebody that I would feel safe having out in our community. And people that commit these types of crimes, they're getting a year, 2 years, 3 years, and then they're just releasing them right back out into the public. So it's somebody else's son next time, and it's just not right.
Right. If Coogler was here in front of you, would you have anything to say to him?
I wouldn't want to. I don't even like to want to look at him. It makes me have a physical reaction just seeing the person responsible for doing, what he did. It's honestly, every time going into court I have to mentally prepare for like a week in advance because it's so incredibly hard to see him and his family. It's very, very hard. And I would want to know why. That's what I would really want to know is why.
Why he did this to your son.
Yeah.
Corey was here today. What would you want to tell him?
Corey knew how much he was loved. I would tell him how much I love him and how proud I've always been of him. He's my first baby, and I told him every day that I loved him. I tell all my kids that. He has 3 sisters, and they miss him terribly, but he knew that he was very, very loved. We all told each other every day, and I just miss him. Sorry.
It's fine, Jan. Well, thank you very much, Crystal, for joining us today and for opening up and talking about your son's murder and about your son, who he was, and what the world is missing out on today.
Thank you for having me and helping me with everything. I appreciate it very much.
You're welcome, and you have a great day. Thank you.
You too. Thanks.